Welcome to Kansas Ag Report. I'm Ken Rogers. On this week's program, we have a conversation with Mike Torrey, a native of Pottawatomie County, but he spent a good portion of his career in the nation's capital. We recently caught up with him in Kansas City and talked about how agriculture is in many conversations now on the Hill and where are we with all these trade deals getting complete. We'll also have features from the Kansas Soybean Commission and Kansas Department of Agriculture, and our weekly updates from the Kansas Livestock Association, Paragon Ag Advisors.
Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Kansas Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farm and ranch families since 1919, kfb.org. And the Kansas Wheat Commission, lending in the adoption of profitable innovations from wheat. Online at kswheat.com.
In agricultural news from agview.net, the Kansas State University horse judging team captured a bit of history this fall when the squad won two of the most prestigious contests offered to collegiate competitors. K-State won the American Paint Horse Association title in September and followed that up with a victory at the American Quarter Horse Association contest just a couple of weeks ago. Now, this is the first time that any four-year school had pulled off the judging double win, according to head coach James Latimer. Like other livestock judging contests, horse judging requires team members to evaluate a dozen classes of horses, place them according to a predetermined criteria, then provide oral reasons for those placements to the judges. The AQHA contest has been held for over 40 years, and K-State's won that contest 4 times in the past 11 years, more recently in 2017. The APHA contest just in its 4th year. Now, K-State preps for the national contest a lot like what sports teams go through. They practice 10 to 12 hours a week outside of class time and sometimes even in between classes or early in the morning. Well, USDA recently announced the second tranche of 2019 Market Facilitation Program payments is underway. It's aimed at providing trade retaliation relief to American farmers. Now, producers of MFP-eligible commodities eligible to receive 25% of the total payments expected, in addition to the 50% that they already received from the 2019 MFP. Now, we talk an awful lot about grains, but what about pork? Well, the agency announced back in July eligible U.S. pork producers will receive $11 a head based on an inventory between April 1st and May 15th of this year. USDA also announced it will make pork purchases of $208 billion in supporting its program for the food insecure, and USDA's second trade reliance relief package valued at $16 billion, 14.5 of that dedicated to producer payments, $1.4 billion to commodity purchases, $100 million through its Ag Trade Promotion Program to help U.S. farmers and ranchers identify and access new export markets. USDA explained it is the second of up to 3 tranches of MFP payments. The third one will be evaluated as to market conditions and trade opportunities. If it dictates, if conditions warrant, a third tranche will be made in January of next year, the agency said in a release. And Farm Credit Administration Chairman Glenn Smith told a House Ag Committee recently that farm lending system currently safe and sound, but officials are very concerned and closely monitoring some weakening in credit quality. He said he thinks they're at a level comparable to the early 80s, so he cited some economic trends, including falling farm income, rising debt-to-asset ratios, and concern about the value of farmland. At a time, he said, the Midwest lost about 15 to 20% of the land values, and guess what, he said? Today, we've lost 15 to 20% of the land values in the Midwest. So stay with us. We'll have more coming up.
Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by the Kansas Livestock Association, supporting members' business interests and meeting consumer demands. KLA.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. And Kansas Corn, building the future at kansascorn.com.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, But how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and Liberty Link that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, cleaner American fuel. Message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
And joining us now is Mike Torrey, a native of Pottawatomie County, and one of those Kansans done good, at least trying to anyway, in our nation's capital. Mike, always
trying.
Good.
Good to see you, Ken. Emphasis on trying. That's right.
He is with the Dairy Farmer Cooperative, and so we're going to talk a little dairy issue and a little kind of what's going on also in the nation's capital with things in agriculture. You've got a lot of things on your plate.
You know, food and ag is the place to be these days. You and I both remember going back that we were kind of the stepchild, and now everybody wants to know about their food and where it comes from, and they want to be involved. And I don't know that we've ever had a president talk as much about farmers as this one. So, yeah, we're kind of in the hot seat right now.
It's been a while since there's been that many cowboy hats in the White House so often.
It has been. It sure has been. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about. Dairy issues are one that obviously trade and has been that, but also a lot of food issues has got the dairy industry kind of intertwined with everything.
Yeah, it sure does. And, just to focus on trade for a second, and also immigration, when you talk about the challenges of producers and certainly dairy, I guess we feel like, you're kind of driving with one foot on the brake and one foot on the gas, and you keep looking for the brake pedal to kind of be let loose so we can get going on this. And trade is a great example of that with USMCA and with China and other countries. And I think, fingers crossed, that's going to pass this year. I think on your show last year, I said we were going to pass it last year.
Right.
So, but right now we're going to do it this year. We're going to get USMCA passed. That's what we're working on.
Well, let's hope. It's with everything else going on. In fact, the time that we're recording this, we're in the middle of the kind of public impeachment situation starting. And so it seemed like USMCA was very much bipartisan. Everybody had agreed it's kind of good for everybody. But with that, with China, with Japan, with so many different things, seemingly, Mike, changing on a daily basis. You're in the belly of the beast. We're out here in flyover country. We kind of see it from a arm's length distance, but you're seeing it. Is it frustrating when the ball seems to be moving so quickly all the time?
Dr. Barry Flinchball, the professor at Kansas State University, told me one time in class, he said, inside the Beltway, they lose touch with what's happening outside the Beltway. So inside the Beltway, it is all about immigration. Outside the Beltway, folks are wanting things to get done. And so that's why I think it's going to show up that they're going to have to show that they're actually doing the people's business. I think they are going to get the spending bills taken care of, and that's why I'm saying they're going to have to show progress, and they're going to have to show it on USMCA. So that's my hope. But immigration certainly is another one, and that affects obviously a lot of your viewers and certainly the dairy industry. And this U.S. Ag Workforce Act that was introduced by Zoe Lofgren, here's the good news on that. It's a bill that has over 40 sponsors, almost evenly split between Republican and Democrat, which is difficult to get that to that point. So it does some things that, while not perfect, it's a big deal for dairy because it really gives them more access to the H-2A program. And as you know, H-2A is for seasonal, and this is for year-round.
Right. Yeah. Talk with Mike Torrey, Edge Dairy Farmers Cooperative. Let's take a quick break. Back with more in just a moment.
The Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by Kansas Grain Sorghum, growers working together. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. grassandgrain.com, and agview.net, serving the Beef Belt and Western Corn Belt with reliable and relevant agriculture information. agview.net.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about umbrella coverage. Did you know that if you're held liable in any type of accident, the judgment can claim your assets? Please give me a call so we can discuss. 316-945-6733.
And joining us once again is Mike Torrey, who is a native of the Wamego area. And I keep bringing that up because it seems like, what, not many years ago, we were running around and trying to get our careers underway. And some of us did well. Some of us are still trying to struggle and do our thing.
Yeah.
But he's with Edge Dairy Farmer Co-op. And this time I want to talk a little bit kind of politics. We talk about how food and agriculture's in the middle of things. Well, as the calendar turns, the silly season is upon us. We have 47,000 people running for president against the incumbent, President Trump. You have a third of the House, all the House, a third of the Senate up. I know it's a little early, but I think there's still some things we can talk about, maybe the getting things done and the makeup of what maybe could happen down the road.
Yeah. I think one of the first things that's really important to know is that a vote in rural America actually matters. And I think sometimes when folks are sitting out there, they wonder if that's the case. But it was a lot of those rural districts that delivered the House Republican and also delivered the Republican president. But at the same time, obviously, it was a lot of those rural districts that flipped back and moved the House back to a Democratic majority. So I think eyes are going to be on a lot of these rural districts because they are located in states like Iowa and Wisconsin and Minnesota, places where whoever is the nominee for president is going to have to perform well. So that's the good news.
Well, and it seems like there's been a number of issues, and actually in this presidential kind of build-up, towards the Iowa caucuses and Super Tuesday and so on, agriculture really has been kind of talked about more because I think a broader group of folks are more interested in food.
They are, and I like to say, and I have no evidence to back this up, but I feel like it's almost like the iPhone and technology has given consumers more insight and more of a voice on what's happening, not just from the retailer, but throughout the entire supply chain. And I always talk about the fact that in agriculture and food, we used to do things in silos. The farm community would worry about production issues. The processing community would worry about their issues. The input folks would worry about their issues. But the one issue that came along that knocked down all those barriers was GMO labeling. Mm-hmm. Something that started at the very front suddenly impacted the consumer, and everybody had to come together. And what we're seeing when we talk about policy and everything that happens in D.C., we're continuing to see a bigger need of everybody working together. And that's why working on coalitions has become kind of the thing right now to get anything done, because you've got to make your voice heard.
Before we wrap up, we talk a year from now, Senator Roberts is going to be wrapping up his career, and folks don't know you spent a lot of time and working with Senator Dole. And so just some thoughts on a guy who'd been in D.C. now for about 4 decades representing Kansas and what Pat Roberts has meant to agriculture.
I'll tell you what, I don't think folks are going to fully appreciate everything that Pat Roberts did for agriculture, not just in the state, but in the country, and for that matter in the world, until he's gone. Because if there's somebody that just lives and breathes agriculture and defending it, it's Pat Roberts. And this is a guy that when it came down to votes on health care, his ask was to protect agriculture within the Trump administration because they had budget proposals coming out that were critical of ag. So he has been a true defender, and I look forward to seeing who's going to be stepping into his place.
All right, Mike, always good to see you.
Good to see you, Ken. Thank you.
Keep those Kansas values in D.C.
I hope so. I hope so.
Mike Torrey, who's with Ed's Dairy Farmer Cooperative, has joined us. Stay with us. We'll have more coming up.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about umbrella coverage. Did you know that if you're held liable in any type of accident, the judgment can claim your assets? Please give me a call so we can discuss. 316-945-6733.
A study commissioned by the United Soybean Board has revealed the lack of high-speed internet access in rural areas takes a significant toll on American farmers and the economy. USB initiated the project to explore how and why farmers currently access the internet and the implications that access has for farming decisions, economic viability, and overall sustainability. Data from the Federal Agriculture Department's Economic Research Service indicate farming contributes to nearly $133 billion of the nation's gross domestic product. Based on USB's survey, insufficient connectivity negatively affects the farmers who are responsible for $80 billion of GDP. 60% of them say they do not have enough connectivity to manage their businesses. 78% do not have choices in internet service providers. 60% say their internet services are slow, with most relying on cellular connections. 40% have fixed internet connections, while others rely on satellite. The qualitative and quantitative research highlights the critical need to improve rural internet access, which has implications far beyond farmers' quality of life and rural communities' livelihoods. USB will share its survey data with ISPs and other organizations working to tackle the policy and technical challenges associated with delivering high-speed internet access to rural communities.
Green sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and LibertyLink that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
This past year saw historic flooding in Kansas, and many communities are still struggling with recovery from that flooding. At the Kansas Department of Agriculture, 3 teams work within the Division of Water Resources Water Structures Program to minimize hazardous conditions, the impacts of flooding, and the risk to public safety. The Dam Safety Team focuses on protecting public safety through permitting and inspection of dams. We have partnered with the Natural Resources Conservation Service and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers through the Silver Jackets program to help watershed districts with emergency action plans which serve to reduce risk by providing actions and information to dam operators and emergency response personnel in the case of an emergency. The Floodplain Management Team works to help communities in a variety of ways in order to protect people and property, reduce future flood losses, and help with federal flood insurance. This team administers the National Flood Insurance Program, helping property owners plan for and recover from flood events and enabling property owners to purchase federally backed flood insurance. We're also engaged in floodplain mapping projects in several watersheds throughout the state, working with local communities to update FEMA flood insurance rate maps and help property owners and stakeholders learn about the map revision process and understand their flood risk and how any changes to the flood risk map may affect them. The Stream and Floodplain Permit Team reviews permits for bridges, culverts, channel modifications, stream dredging, floodplain fill, and levees to verify that they do not affect other landowners or threaten public safety. Streams and their adjacent floodplains are a vital part of the Kansas landscape. These areas store and deliver water supplies, support diverse natural resources, and provide a path to safely convey floodwaters. These water structures teams will continue to work on these projects and more as we help to protect people and property throughout the state of Kansas.
Kansans have a new choice for Medicare supplement insurance plans. With Medicare supplement insurance plans from Kansas Farm Bureau, you have access to 4 levels of coverage, affordable rates, and service from an organization that's served Kansans for more than 100 years. For more information on Kansas Farm Bureau Medicare supplement plans, including rates and to apply, visit kfbhealthplans.com.
For information on your computer or mobile device, news and views on grains, livestock, policy, and opinions from newsmakers can be found by liking AgView on Facebook, and on Twitter, follow AgView News, a reliable and relevant source, agview.net.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the Soybean Checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the Soybean Checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Kansas Beef Council is providing support to a national beef video campaign this holiday season. Beef It's What's for Dinner is releasing a new beef drool log video that will add holiday flavor to workplaces, dinner parties, or nights at home with the family. The drool log is a 2.5-hour video featuring a prime rib roast cooking on a rotisserie over an open flame. The video puts a tasty spin on the iconic Yule log and encourages consumers to gather around a beef roast for the holidays. A full-length version is live on YouTube, with shorter versions being promoted in holiday digital marketing efforts on Hulu, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, and LinkedIn. Holiday moviegoers also will enjoy the drool log during National Sin Media Movie pre-shows in select theaters in 10 states from November 22nd to December 5th. KBC and 8 other state beef councils are supporting the in-state theater promotions with checkoff funds. The drool log will appear on 251 screens in select Kansas City metro theaters. Throughout the country, 212 theaters with almost 2,700 screens will be participating in this test project. The drool log is the latest video in the Keep Sizzlin' advertisement collection from Beef It's What's for Dinner. Additional sizzle videos showcasing popular beef preparation methods have more than 81 million views.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, cleaner American fuel. Message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and Liberty Link that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
Good morning, folks. Colette here with Paragon Ag Advisors. Many might think when harvest winds down, rural America becomes less busy, but we know that's not the case, and it's just on to the next order of business. For many farmers, the grain goes into the elevator at harvest, and it's around now that they start to think about selling, especially as we roll into the next contract month. However, we all know prices are much lower now than they were this summer. Believe it or not, this happens every year, and many still wait for things to sort of wind down to even begin sales on their grain. Basis levels remain stronger on corn, with many places stronger than their historical levels, and the deferred ones especially. The soybean market is stronger on basis as well, with significant carry into the deferred contract months. While it's easier to take advantage of these things with storage of your own, there are still ways to take advantage of both basis and carry. Remember that storage rates have increased from 5 to 8 cents for CME warehouses. This means carry can grow even wider, and we could see that rate change trickle down to local co-ops sooner rather than later. It's not too late to give us a call for advice on what to do with this year's marketing. Don't get caught paying for storage because you don't have a plan. With that being said, it's time to start looking at getting the ball rolling for next year's marketing as well. Give us a call at 888-452-8751 to see how we can help you understand the marketing tools available to you. I'm Claude at Paragon, and I hope you guys had a safe and happy Thanksgiving.
Well, that's our show this week. Be social with us online at KansasAgReport.net. Like us on Facebook, Kansas Ag Report Television Show. Follow us on Twitter at Kansas Ag Report. I'm Ken Rogers. Thanks for watching, supporting our advertisers as well. Hope you have time to enjoy family and friends during the holiday season. We'll see you next week.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Kansas Farm Bureau has served farm families and rural Kansas for more than 100 years, and we're pleased to offer new healthcare coverage choices for Kansans in 2020 through Kansas Farm Bureau health plans. No matter what stage of life you're in, we'll have options that fit your lifestyle. Plus, our network of providers is one of the largest available throughout the state of Kansas and beyond. For more information, including the different plans available, or to get a quote, visit kfbhealthplans.com.